Have you ever wondered why a confident child suddenly becomes silent, anxious, and afraid to try? I have seen this transformation hundreds of times in my clinical practice. It does not happen overnight. It happens quietly, almost invisibly, inside everyday family moments. A child is not born insecure. Confidence is not something fragile at the start. It is something gradually shaped, reinforced, or destroyed by the environment. Let me tell you about a boy I once worked with. He was 8 years old, intelligent, curious, and full of questions. But when I met him, he barely spoke. Every answer he gave started with hesitation. Every sentence ended with, "I don't know," even when he clearly knew the answer. When I asked him to draw something, he froze, not because he lacked ability, but because he was afraid of doing it wrong. This is the moment where most parents misunderstand the problem. They think the child lacks confidence, but in reality, the child has learned that being wrong is dangerous. And this belief does not come from nowhere. It is taught, repeatedly, sometimes without parents even realizing it. Research in developmental psychology shows that children begin forming self-perception as early as age 5. By the age of 8, many core beliefs about self-worth are already established. This means that small daily interactions are not small at all. They are programming. Now let me ask you a direct question. What happens when a child hears, "Why are you always like this?" more often than "You did a good job"? The brain does not treat these as simple words. It encodes them as identity. Not "I made a mistake," but "I am the mistake." And once that shift happens, confidence starts collapsing from the inside. In my sessions, I often see children who are not lacking talent. They are lacking psychological safety. They are constantly scanning for judgment, constantly predicting criticism, constantly trying to avoid failure instead of learning from it. And here is the most dangerous part. Many parents believe they are motivating their child. They think pressure creates strength. They think criticism builds discipline. But neuroscience tells us the opposite. Chronic criticism activates the child's stress response system. This floods the brain with cortisol. And when cortisol is high, the brain shifts from learning mode to survival mode. A child in survival mode does not explore, does not create, does not take risks. They withdraw, they shrink, they become careful instead of confident. And over time, this becomes their personality, not because they were born that way, but because they adapted to their environment. Now think about how subtle this can be. A sigh, a disappointed look, a comparison with another child, a sarcastic comment. None of these seem serious in isolation, but repeated daily, they become psychological conditioning. And children are extremely sensitive to patterns. They do not need harsh punishment to lose confidence. They only need consistent emotional signals that they are not enough. This is where the damage truly begins. And most of it happens in normal homes, not in extreme situations, not in abusive environments, but in ordinary families with good intentions, which is exactly why it is so dangerous, because it goes unnoticed. In the next part, I will break down the most common behaviors that silently destroy a child's confidence every single day. Now let us move deeper into what actually causes this damage. Because confidence is not destroyed by one big mistake. It is destroyed by patterns, repeated behaviors that slowly reshape how a child sees themselves. The first pattern is constant criticism disguised as correction. Parents often believe they are helping when they point out every mistake. "Not like that. You did it wrong. Why can't you be more careful?" But what the child hears is something very different. "I am not good enough. I disappoint people. I should not try unless I am perfect." Over time, the child stops trying, not because they are lazy, but because trying feels risky. The second pattern is comparison. "Look at your brother.
Why can't you be like her? This child is better than you. Comparison does not create motivation, it creates shame. And shame is one of the fastest ways to destroy confidence. Because the child no longer competes with others, they start losing against themselves. They begin to believe they will never be enough, and this belief follows them into school, friendships, and eventually adulthood. The third pattern is emotional unpredictability. One day the parent is supportive, the next day they are angry, cold, or distant. The child cannot predict the emotional environment, and when the environment is unpredictable, the brain becomes hyper-alert. Instead of focusing on growth, the child focuses on survival. Will I get praised or criticized today? Is it safe to speak? Should I stay quiet? This constant internal tension destroys natural confidence, because confidence requires stability. The fourth pattern is dismissing emotions. You're overreacting. Stop crying. It's nothing. From an adult perspective, this may seem harmless, but for a child, emotions are real and intense. When their feelings are dismissed, they learn something dangerous. My emotions are wrong. My inner world cannot be trusted. And if a child cannot trust their own feelings, they cannot trust their own decisions. This creates hesitation, self-doubt, and eventually a lack of confidence. The fifth pattern is perfectionism imposed by parents. High expectations are not the problem, but unrealistic expectations without emotional support are. When a child feels that love is conditional on performance, everything changes. They stop learning for curiosity. They start performing for approval. And when approval is not guaranteed, anxiety replaces confidence. I once worked with a girl who had perfect grades, top of her class, disciplined, focused. From the outside, she looked extremely confident, but inside she was terrified of making a single mistake, because in her home, mistakes were not seen as part of learning, they were seen as failure, and failure meant disappointment, so she learned to fear imperfection. This is what I call fragile confidence. It looks strong, but it collapses under pressure. Now here's something most people do not realize. Children do not need constant praise to build confidence. They need something much more specific. They need to feel safe while being imperfect. They need to know that mistakes do not reduce their value. They need to experience support, not just evaluation. Without this, confidence cannot develop in a healthy way. It becomes either avoidance or anxiety, and both lead to the same outcome: a child who doubts themselves even when they are capable. In the next part, I will show you how these patterns shape the child's brain and future behavior in ways most parents never expect.
Now, let us go even deeper, because this is not just about behavior. This is about how the child's brain is physically shaped over time. When a child grows up in an environment of criticism, comparison, or emotional instability, the brain adapts, not emotionally, biologically. The amygdala, which is responsible for detecting threats, becomes more active. It starts reacting not only to real danger, but to simple situations like answering a question or trying something new. This is why some children feel anxious even in safe environments. Their brain has learned that mistakes equal danger. At the same time, the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for decision-making, confidence, and problem-solving, becomes less effective under stress. This creates a dangerous combination: high fear, low clarity. So instead of thinking, the child starts avoiding. Instead of exploring, they start hesitating. Instead of expressing themselves, they stay silent. I often see this in school settings. A child knows the answer. You can see it in their eyes. But they do not raise their hand, not because they are unsure, but because they are afraid of being wrong.
And in their internal system, being wrong is not a small event. It is a threat to their identity. Now imagine this pattern repeated over years. The child becomes a teenager who avoids challenges, then an adult who doubts every decision, then someone who stays in safe but limiting situations, not because they lack ability, but because their brain is trained to avoid risk. There's a concept in psychology called learned helplessness. It happens when a person begins to believe that their actions do not change outcomes, so they stop trying, even when opportunities are available. This often begins in childhood, when effort is met with criticism instead of support, or when outcomes are unpredictable regardless of effort. The child learns a simple but destructive rule: why try if I will fail anyway? And this belief becomes automatic. Now, let me give you another real example. A boy who was constantly corrected for small mistakes: how he spoke, how he sat, how he studied. Everything had to be right. By age 12, he stopped initiating anything on his own. He waited for instructions. He avoided making choices, because making choices meant risking being wrong, and being wrong meant emotional discomfort. So his brain chose the safest option: do nothing. This is how confidence disappears, not suddenly, but through adaptation. The brain is always trying to protect the child, but sometimes what protects them in childhood limits them in adulthood. And here's the key insight. Confidence is not just a personality trait, it is a neurological pattern, built through repeated experiences of safety, support, and autonomy, or destroyed through repeated experiences of fear, criticism, and control. This is why simply telling a child, "be confident," never works, because confidence is not a decision, it is a result of what the child has experienced thousands of times. And if those experiences taught fear instead of safety, the outcome is predictable. In the next part, I will show you exactly how to reverse this process and rebuild a child's confidence in a way that is strong, stable, and lasting. Now we come to the most important part, because once you understand the damage, the next question becomes practical. How do we fix it? And the answer is not what most people expect. Confidence is not rebuilt through motivation, it is rebuilt through experience. The first principle is psychological safety. A child must feel that making a mistake does not threaten their value. This sounds simple, but in practice it changes everything. Instead of saying, "that's wrong," you say, "let's try again together." Instead of reacting with frustration, you respond with curiosity. "What made you think that?" This small shift tells the brain something powerful. It is safe to think. It is safe to try. And when the brain feels safe, learning resumes. The second principle is separating behavior from identity. Never attach mistakes to who the child is. Do not say, "you are careless." Say, "that action was careless." This preserves the child's core sense of self, because once identity is damaged, confidence collapses. But when identity is protected, the child remains stable even when they fail. The third principle is effort-based feedback, not empty praise, not "you are amazing," but specific recognition. "I saw how much effort you put into this. You kept trying even when it was hard." This builds what psychologists call a growth mindset. The child begins to associate effort with progress, not perfection with approval. And this creates resilient confidence. The fourth principle is emotional validation. When a child feels something, acknowledge it. "I see that you are upset. That makes sense." This does not mean you agree with everything. It means you respect their internal experience. And when children feel understood, they stop fighting themselves. They start trusting themselves. And self-trust is the foundation of confidence. The fifth principle is giving controlled autonomy. Let the child make decisions, even small ones, what to wear, how to solve a problem, what approach to try. Yes, they will make mistakes, but that is the point, because confidence is built through action, not instruction. Every time a child makes a decision and survives the outcome, their brain learns, I can handle this. And that belief compounds over time. Now let me show you how powerful this is. I worked with a child who was afraid to answer any questions. We did not start with big changes. We started small. One safe question, one supportive response, no criticism, no pressure, just safety. Within weeks, the child began to speak more. Within months, they were raising their hand in class. Nothing magical happened, no special technique, just a different environment. This is how confidence grows, slowly but reliably. Now here is the mistake many parents make. They try to fix confidence with words, believe in yourself, be brave. But if the environment still communicates fear, those words have no effect. The brain listens to patterns, not speeches. So if you want to rebuild confidence, change the daily interactions, change the tone, change the reactions, change the emotional climate. Because that is where confidence is actually formed. And when this environment becomes consistent, something remarkable happens. The child stops avoiding, starts trying, starts expressing, starts becoming who they were meant to be. In the final part, I will bring everything together into one clear idea that will completely change how you see confidence forever.
Now let me bring this together in the clearest possible way. A child's confidence is not destroyed by one moment. It is shaped by thousands of small interactions. Not by what you say once, but by what you repeat every day. Confidence is not something you give to a child. It is something the child builds internally based on how safe they feel externally. If a child feels judged, they become cautious. If a child feels compared, they become insecure. If a child feels controlled, they become dependent. But if a child feels safe, something very different happens. They explore. They take risks. They express themselves without fear. And this is where real confidence is born. Not from perfection, but from permission. Permission to fail. Permission to try again. Permission to be imperfect without losing value. This is the foundation that many families miss. They focus on results, grades, behavior, achievements. But confidence is built before all of that. It is built in the emotional space between parent and child, in the tone of your voice, in your reaction to mistakes, in the way you look at them when they fail. Because children are constantly asking one silent question: am I safe to be myself here? And your daily behavior is the answer. Now here's the truth most people avoid. Good intentions are not enough. Love alone is not enough, because a child does not grow from what you feel. They grow from what you consistently show. And this is why two loving families can raise completely different children, one confident, one full of doubt, not because of love, but because of patterns. So if you want to change a child's confidence, do not start with the child. Start with the environment. Start with your reactions. Start with your habits. Because when the environment changes, the child adapts. And when the child adapts to safety instead of fear, confidence becomes natural, not forced, not fragile, but stable and lasting. And this leads to one final idea I want you to remember. Confidence is not built by pushing a child forward. It is built by removing what is holding them back. And once those invisible barriers are gone, the child does not need to be pushed at all. They move forward on their own.